Hello, Topaz users. This is Joe Jasper. I want to uh, talk about the difference between what is an adjustment, what is a preset, and what is an effect, because people are kind of throwing these terms around and not necessarily using them correctly in our discussions. So, of course, you should be pretty familiar with the overall setup of Topaz by now, Topaz Studio. And in the right panel are where adjustments will appear. So let's select an adjustment and see what it is. An adjustment is really often a combination of multiple options to change our picture. So we might want to adjust the exposure, the black level, the white level, things like that, and come up with something that we think is appealing to the use of this image. And if we like what we have, we can move on and apply other adjustments and save it, move on to our next image. But what if it's a similar image and we want to be able to use it again and again? What I can do is save those settings to be reused over and over every time I choose a basic adjustment. So I go to this icon here that pops up and says Save Preset. And when I do, it asks me what I want to name that, basically. And I'll call it DaVinci Basic Contrast. And then that shows up. So now that that's saved, let's say I reset this and I bring it up again. I can bring up basic adjustment, and currently there's no manipulation of these sliders yet. I can go here and there's my misspelled DaVinci Basic Contrasty, and it brings me back to where I was with the same settings I had earlier. So it's a time saver to be able to use presets. Fortunately, Topaz also supplies some presets for each adjustment. And most adjustments will have the ability to use presets. One that doesn't, for example, is an image layer, because that's going to be unique for each time what image is brought in. So here I've chosen darker and gotten pretty close to the same effect that I had before. A little different, but not that different. And I can maybe apply another adjustment. This time we'll take precision contrast, even though we already made it kind of contrasty. This time we can adjust the contrast at multiple levels. And decide how we want that to look. Again, I could save this as a preset so that I can use it over and over, or I can come in and say, gee, I like the way this one from Topaz looks. It looks like a wood block kind of effect. So I think I'm going to just stick with the one that Topaz supplied, and you can see it really stirred up the micro, the low, the medium, and even a little bit of high deep in the shadows. So somebody at the Topaz end has come up with this arrangement and saved it as a preset called Contrast Boost under the Preset drop-down menu. And then maybe I want to do something else, like add a texture to it, add glow, maybe change this brownish color that we have to decrease it to a light sepia sort of color. And this time I'm not going to use a preset within the HSL adjustment. Now I have 3 different adjustments in my right-hand panel. A combination of adjustments with their sliders adapted to our desired outcome. This combination is called an effect. And we can go down, drop down, and save this effect, and maybe call it Da Vinci Woodblock. Give it a description, check all the boxes, and decide whether we want to make it public or not. And then we can click on the Save button, the OK button. And now that's been this combination of adjustments with the slider set is saved as an effect. So now here's an important point, that the left panel is where effects appear. I have this set of adjustments that I've made, and maybe I want to apply something else, a texture or something to it, and I go over to my left panel and I say, gee, I kind of like the look of that, I'm going to put that on it. Well, what happened to everything I did before? I had basic adjustment. This is a different one that somebody's put in, but it's all disappeared. It's put in quad tone, vignettes, tone curves, blurs, and abstraction, but it did not save the work I'd done before. When I apply an effect from the left panel, it replaces, it erases and replaces all the adjustments in the right panel. So, oops, I goofed. I can undo, go back a step, and now I'm back to where I started. So if I want to save that and then apply this other effect, I have to hit apply first. And then I can come back in and ask for ghostly effects again. And see this one. And now that's being applied over, and you can see it does look different from what we had before, and maybe lighten that up a bit. So that's the difference. An effect has a combination of adjustments with the sliders adjusted how we want them, and we can go in and actually tweak those. If we think things are too dark or whatever, we can make them brighter. So that's how that works. Now remember, we did create this effect before. Misspelled it, but did save it. So if I reset this image to where we started, I can come over to my effects panel, and there's all these choices here. I can either type in the Da Vinci word that I had, or I can come down to my effects and I can look for it, Da Vinci Woodblock, and there it is. It's put back in my 3 different adjustments that use presets supplied by Topaz, and one that I just adjusted on my own previously. Okay, so there's the orange saturation down. That's it. So I hope things are clarified. These are adjustments. Each one of these panels is an adjustment, each one of these 3. Within it, we have the option to use a preset from Topaz or our own that we've saved, a combination of adjustments with presets we can save as an effect that we can find in the left-hand panel, or use any other of hundreds or thousands of effects that are now supplied both from Topaz and in the public library of Topaz effects. Thanks for listening. I hope I didn't make it more muddy, and that it's actually more clear to you now what the difference is.